The space around the dying planet was cold, dark, and silent. No wind, no birds, no voices, only the sound of broken machines and falling ash. The stars above blinked like distant candles, far away from the pain on the ground. A single alien ship hovered above the planet. It was sleek, silver, and shaped like a long blade. The creatures inside were tall, thin, and covered in white armor. Their faces were hidden behind dark glass helmets. They were part of the Galactic Council. Cold. Logical. They didn't feel pain. Didn't feel pity. One of them stood in front of a large metal pod. The pod was open. Inside, a baby dragon lay curled, its wings weak, legs twisted, eyes half closed. It had just hatched a few minutes ago. Its golden scales were dull and cracked. It looked like it was in pain, but it didn't make a sound. This one is defective, one alien said without emotion. Another scanned the small creature with a device. Spinal damage. Hind legs non-functional, cannot fly, cannot run. Will not survive, the first alien replied. It is not our problem. With that, they turned and walked away. Their ship rose into the air. Fire from the engine blew dust across the ground. The baby dragon whimpered softly, eyes barely open. It was left alone. Left to die. But somewhere in the darkness above, human ship was passing by, small, rusty, and slow but alive. Pilot sat in the control chair, legs up, chewing on dry rations. His name was Jack Rylan, a lone scavenger, human, rough beard, leather jacket, one broken boot. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't even a soldier anymore. It's just a man flying from one dead planet to another. He's looking for anything he could sell. He leaned back, watching the scanner. Another dead world, he muttered. Just great. Then something blinked, a signal. Weak. Almost silent. Jack sat up straight. What the hell? The signal repeated. Faint. Like a whisper from deep below. His fingers danced over the controls. He zoomed in. Coordinates locked. It wasn't a distress call. Not exactly. It was something different. More like a heartbeat. Slow, hurting, he stared at the screen. Someone's alive down there. Jack grabbed his helmet and dropped the ship toward the planet. The engines shook as he pushed through the thin atmosphere. Fire scraped the outer hull. He didn't care. The ship landed near a broken alien lab. Walls half buried in dirt, wind howling through broken doors. Jack stepped out, gun in hand, moving carefully. The inside of the lab was a mess. Wires hung from the ceiling. Tables were smashed, glass cracked. But then he heard it. A sound. Very soft. Like someone breathing. In pain, he followed it. Deeper inside, past broken walls. Then he saw it. The metal pod open, and inside it, the baby dragon. Jack froze. It wasn't fear. It was shock. The creature looked at him with glowing gold eyes. It didn't move. Couldn't move. Its small chest rose slowly, like it was fighting just to breathe. What are you? Jack whispered. He stepped closer. The dragon didn't hiss. Didn't try to bite. Just looked at him. Quiet. Sad. Alone. Jack knelt beside it. His eyes softened. Who did this to you? He looked at the pod. Alien markings. Scanners. Notes. It was clear. This was no accident. Someone had made this dragon, or found it, and left it when it wasn't perfect. Jack clenched his jaw. He reached out and gently touched the dragon's snout. You're still breathing. That's all that matters. The dragon blinked slowly, as if it understood. Jack pulled out a blanket and carefully wrapped the tiny body. The creature was warm, but weak. He could feel it trembling. I got you, he said softly. I'm not leaving you. He carried it back to his ship, one step at a time. The wind blew dust into his face. The dragon curled slightly in his arms, tiny claws twitching. It made a sound, half whimper, half sigh. Jack placed it gently on a soft pad inside the ship. He looked at the small body and saw pain, but also something else. Something powerful, hidden deep. You're not dying today, he said firmly. He started flying back into orbit, hands moving quickly over the controls. While the ship flew, he turned to the creature and whispered, "Let's get you out of this nightmare." Days passed. Jack's ship drifted through empty space. He worked around the clock, feeding the dragon soft liquids, keeping it warm, building a scanner to study its injuries. The results were bad. Spinal damage. The back legs wouldn't move. The wings were too soft to fly. But Jack didn't give up. He built a small support brace for its legs. Tried to help it sit. Slowly the dragon began to lift its head more. Its golden eyes watched him, always calm, like it trusted him. "You're a fighter," Jack said one night, sitting beside it. "You don't cry. You don't scream. It's you. Just keep breathing." The dragon looked at him. Soft growl came from its throat. Jack smiled. "That's right. You got a little fire in there." He thought for a while, then said, "I should give you a name." He looked out the window. Stars passed by slowly. "Nova," he whispered. "That's what I'll call you, Nova." The dragon made a sound. Soft, crackling noise, like a tiny flame inside its chest. Jack laughed. "You like it, huh?" But peace didn't last long. One day, while checking his ship's systems, Jack picked up a message from the council. "All scavenger-class ships, be advised. Do not engage with subject row 7. Creature is hostile. Destruction order issued. If seen, report immediately." Jack froze. He looked at Nova. She was sleeping, tiny, chest rising and falling. Not hostile. Not dangerous. Just broken. Just a child. "They're looking for you," he muttered. He walked over to her and knelt down. "They think you're dangerous. They're scared of you." Nova opened her eyes. "You didn't ask for this," Jack said. "They made you, hurt you, left you." He stood up. "But I won't." Jack went into the cargo bay and pulled out old tech. He started building wires, metal, circuits. He created a harness that could help support Nova's body, light enough for her to carry, strong enough to hold her up. The first time he strapped it to her, she growled and shook. "Easy, girl," Jack whispered. "I know it feels strange." She tried to stand. Her front legs were strong. Her back legs dragged. But with the harness, she moved just a little. Jack smiled. "That's it. One step at a time." Days turned to weeks. Nova grew. Her eyes became brighter, her scales shinier. She still couldn't fly. But her body was healing slowly. And then one night, Jack was asleep. The ship was quiet. Suddenly, he woke up. A heat wave passed over his face. He jumped up and looked around. Nova was standing in the center of the room, her mouth open, its glowing gold. A small flame shot out from her jaws. Just for a second, then it vanished. Nova blinked, confused. Jack stared at her. "You did it," he said, voice shaking. "You actually did it." Nova looked at him. A low growl rumbled in her chest. Jack laughed. Not a loud laugh. Just a quiet, proud one. "You got fire in your soul, kid." But something else hit him then. If Nova could do that now, what else could she become? And what would the council do if they found out? His smile faded. "We gotta keep moving," he whispered. "They're not done. Not yet." Far away, deep in a cold alien base, a council leader stared at a screen. "Subject DRO7, signal detected," a voice said. The leader narrowed its eyes. "Send the drones," it ordered. "No survivors." Back in the ship, Nova curled up next. To Jack's boots, eyes closing again, safe for now. But somewhere in the galaxy, war was waking up again, and it all started with a broken hatchling. Jack Ryland stood in front of the mirror inside his ship. His face was tired, his beard rough, and his eyes had shadows under them. He hadn't slept much in days, not since he brought Nova aboard. The baby dragon lay curled in the corner, her small golden body glowing softly under the ship's warm lights. Nova was growing slowly. Her scales were healing. The leg harness Jack built helped her move, but only a little. She still couldn't walk on her own. She would lift her head when she heard his voice, and when she was scared. She would crawl toward him, dragging her back legs behind. Jack watched her now. She was trying to sit up, her front claws digging into the floor. She pushed herself up, wobbled, then fell to her side again. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, she just tried again. Jack knelt beside her and gently picked her up. "That's it, Nova," he said in a soft voice. "You're getting stronger. You'll be on your feet one day, I promise." Nova blinked slowly and rested her head against his chest. Her warm breath hit his neck like a soft puff of steam. He held her a little longer than usual. There was something in her eyes now. Not fear, not sadness. Something new. Trust. The ship's alert system suddenly beeped. Jack turned toward the console. A message flashed on the screen. "Unidentified human ship. This is the Lauren Patrol. Power down and prepare for inspection." Jack swore under his breath. Damn it, not now. He looked down at Nova. She was alert now, her golden eyes watching him. He rushed to the cockpit, pressed the comms button. "This is civilian scavenger Jack Rylan. I'm passing through. Nothing to hide. Power down, Rylan. We need to check." For a biological cargo, Jack hesitated. Nova, he had to hide her. He ran back to the lower deck, grabbed a heat-shielded crate, and gently placed Nova inside. She growled in protest. "I know," Jack said, heart racing. "Just for a minute. Stay quiet, okay?" Nova made a soft, huffing noise but didn't fight. The ship docked with his thurlock hissed open. 3 tall Lauren soldiers stepped inside. They were armored in black, with glowing green visors. Their weapons were sleek and silent. Jack stood with his hands up, fake smile on his face. "Welcome aboard, officers. Want a drink?" One of the soldiers ignored him and began scanning the room. The other 2 walked past, checking every corner. Scanner beeped near Nova's crate. Jack stepped forward. "Just scrap parts. Radiation shielding. Useless to anyone but me." The Lauren paused, looked at him, then back at the crate. For a moment, Jack thought they would open it. Then the leader spoke. "Your ship is clear. Continue your journey." Jack exhaled slowly as they left. Soon as the airlock sealed shut again, he ran to the crate and opened it. Nova was trembling. Her eyes glowed faintly, and tiny sparks danced at the corners of her mouth. "It's okay," Jack whispered. "They're gone." She looked at him with wide, wild eyes. He saw it again. Fear, but deeper than that. Rage. Jack held her tightly. "I'll never let them take you." He knew now. The council was watching. They had eyes everywhere. They were looking for Nova. Later that night, Jack sat in the captain's seat, staring out at the stars. Nova lay at his feet, wrapped in a blanket. He looked down at her. "I've been in wars before," he said quietly. "I've seen good men turn into monsters. I've seen cities turn to ash." Nova shifted slightly, her tail tapping against the floor. "But you're not a monster. You were just born. You didn't choose this." She looked up at him, her glowing eyes meeting his. "They think you're a threat, but I see something else. I see someone worth saving." He leaned down and scratched gently behind her jaw. She closed her eyes and made a soft rumbling sound, like a tiny purr mixed with thunder. "You're not alone anymore. I'm with you." Over the next few days, Jack focused all his energy on helping her. He repaired the harness, added boosters to help support her movement. He designed small leg braces for her back legs using flexible alloys. Nova slowly began to move across the ship without dragging herself. 1 step, 2 steps. She stumbled often, fell, cried out sometimes, but she always got up. Jack watched her with pride. "You're tougher than half the soldiers I knew." He also began working on something else straining. He'd seen that tiny flame once before. He knew it wasn't just an accident. One afternoon in the open cargo bay, Jack placed a small piece of metal in front of Nova. "Burn it," he said. Nova tilted her head, unsure. "You can do it," he encouraged. "Focus. Feel the heat inside." Nova narrowed her eyes. Her chest puffed slightly, then nothing. She tried again, still nothing. Jack didn't give up. Day after day, they trained. He fed her more energy-rich food. He showed her old battle footage of ancient fire beasts. He encouraged her. And then, one day, she did it again. A flame, small, bright. Hot, the piece of metal turned red. Jack cheered. Yes, that's it. You're doing it. Nova growled proudly, smoke drifting from her nose. That night, as Jack sat beside her, he pulled out an old holophoto of Earth. It showed trees, blue skies, rivers. This is where I'm from, he said. I left a long time ago. Never went back. Too many bad memories. Nova watched the picture, her eyes wide. I used to fight for people, Jack said. Now I fight for you. He looked down at her, eyes serious. I don't care what they say, you're not a weapon. You're not a mistake, you're Nova. And I made a promise. I'll protect you, no matter what. Nova made a soft clicking sound, then placed her head against his hand. But far away. Someone was watching. In the darkness of a massive command station, a tall alien figure watched a screen. Footage from a hidden drone showed Nova taking her first steps, breathing fire, trusting a human. The alien's voice was sharp. She is adapting. Another voice replied. The human is helping her. Teaching her, she cannot be allowed to survive. Increase the bounty. Double the price. What about the human? Kill him. Burn the dragon. Back on the ship, Jack sat with Nova asleep beside him. The stars outside moved slowly, like the calm before a storm. He didn't know yet what was coming. He didn't know that soon. Enemies would find them, but he didn't care, because he had made a promise, and humans keep their promises, even if it means going to war for a broken dragon. The stars were calm outside the window, but Jack Ryland couldn't relax. He sat in the pilot's seat, watching his radar like a hawk. His ship floated through a quiet part of space, no trade routes, no planets, no stations. The kind of place no one should ever visit, but he knew better. Jack had been getting strange signals for 3 days. Weak at first, then stronger. They weren't regular transmissions. They were hidden, like whispers in code. Like someone watching but not speaking. Nova sat beside him on the floor, chewing on a piece of metal from an old engine part. She didn't know what danger was yet. She was still just a hatchling, still learning to stand, to breathe fire, to trust, but Jack could feel it in his gut. Something was coming. He stood up and walked back to the cargo bay. He'd been working on upgrades, more armor, better scanners, new boosters for faster speed. His ship was old, but it had power left in its bones. Nova followed behind him, her small legs shaking a little as she walked in her harness. Jack looked back and smiled. You're getting faster, girl. Nova made a low growl that sounded like a proud yes. Jack gave her a piece of dry meat. She sniffed it, then gobbled it up. But just as Jack turned back to his tools, the alarm screamed. The radar lit up, 3 red blips approaching fast. Jack ran back to the cockpit and checked the scanner. Damn it, he muttered. Council drones, small ships, black and sharp like knives. Fast, quiet, deadly. And no pilots, just machines with one job. Find and kill. They weren't scanning the area. They were coming directly. For him, they knew. Jack jumped into the seat and hit the engine switch. Hold tight, Nova. The ship roared to life. Lights flickered. The old thrusters groaned, and they blasted forward into the black. The drones followed instantly, fast, silent. No warnings. Nova stumbled into the cockpit, grabbed the edge of the control board with her front claws. Jack looked down. You okay? Nova growled once fierce. Ready? That's my girl. One of the drones fired. A red beam of energy sliced past the ship, missing the engine by inches. Jack rolled hard to the left. They're not playing around. He dived into an asteroid field. Its massive rocks spun slowly in space, some the size of houses, others no bigger. Then a fist. This'll slow them down. He weaved through the asteroids, engines shaking. Metal scraped the side of the ship. Nova slipped once, but held on. The drones followed. One hit an asteroid and exploded in a flash of red light. Jack smiled. One down. But the other 2 stayed close. Another beam hit the back of the ship. Alarms screamed. Shields down too. 40%, said the computer. Jack cursed. We're not going to make it like this. He turned to Nova. She was crouching low now, her body tense, mouth slightly open. Smoke leaked from her nose. "No," Jack said quickly. "Not yet. Don't burn the ship." Nova growled, then stepped back, angry. The ship shook again. Another hit. Sparks flew across the control board. Jack's hands moved fast. He rerouted. Power from the lights to the shields. Then suddenly an idea. He turned the ship toward a large asteroid with a hollow tunnel. This might work. He flew straight into the tunnel. It was narrow, dark, spinning with dust. The drones followed. Jack triggered the thruster boost. The ship shot forward. As soon as he was out the other side, he hit the brakes hard and turned back. The first drone came out. Jack fired. The blast hit it straight on. Gone. The second one swerved and came around for another attack. Jack saw Nova step forward. She growled again. Smoke rose from her mouth. "Nova, wait. Too late," she roared. It wasn't big, it wasn't clean, but it was fire. The blast hit the control board. Sparks flew everywhere. The front window cracked. The lights went dark. Jack ducked. "Nova." She looked at him with wide eyes, scared now. She hadn't meant to hit the ship, but the last drone was confused by the sudden power surge. Its scanner glitched. It flew in the wrong direction straight. Into a rock. Boom, silence. Jack sat back, heart pounding. They were still alive. Nova walked to him slowly, her head down. Jack picked her up. "You saved us," he said softly. She blinked. "You nearly cooked my ship," he added, smiling. "But you saved us." Nova growled lol, most like a laugh. Jack set her down and began fixing the controls. "They found us. That means someone told them where we were." He thought hard. His old ship ID, his cum signal. Something gave him away. He slammed his fist on the console. "I can't keep running forever." Nova sat beside him. She looked out the window, glowing softly. He looked at her. "You're not just some lost creature anymore, Nova. You're learning. You've got power." He stood up. "We need help." He pulled out an old data chip from a hidden panel. Was dusty, scratched, but it still worked. He inserted it into the system. A hologram appeared, showing a map of the outer sectors, and a name, Gray Line Station, a hidden port, a place where humans, ex-soldiers, hackers, smugglers, and rebels gathered. A place with no rules, a place Jack once called home. "They'll hate me," Jack said, "but they hate the Council more." He looked at Nova. "If anyone can help us fight back, it's them." Nova flicked her tail once dash hard. It hit a broken panel and knocked it loose. Jack laughed. "Let's hope they like dragons." The ship turned toward the outer edge of the galaxy, leaving the asteroid field behind. Jack stayed on full alert. His hand never left the controls. Nova sat behind him, staring at the stars, and far away in a deep space fortress. The council leader watched the wreckage from the destroyed drones. "Subject DR07 is adapting," a voice said. "Faster than expected. The human is training her." "Then kill them both," the leader replied coldly. "Send bounty hunters. The best." Back in the ship, Nova curled beside Jack's seat and fell asleep. For now, they had one, but the real chase had just begun. Greyline Station looked like a floating scrapyard in space. Rusted metal towers stuck out in every direction, wires hung like spider webs, and dozens of broken ships were docked at every port. The whole place smelled like burnt oil and dirty air, even through a sealed helmet. Jack Ryland's ship docked in silence. He stepped out slowly, eyes scanning every shadow. Nova followed him, walking carefully in her leg harness. Her golden scales were brighter now. Her back was stronger, and her eyes sharp and alert. She was no longer just a helpless hatchling. She was becoming something more. But Greyline was not safe. It was full of people who worked for no one, trusted no one, would sell their own blood for the right price. Jack pulled his hood up and walked fast. Nova stayed close behind him. She was too small to scare anyone yet, but a few people stared at her with curious eyes. One man whispered that a real dragon. Jack kept walking. They entered a dark room deep inside the station. The lights flickered overhead. 3 people waited inside. 2 women and a large man with a scar across his face. The scarred man stood up. "Jack Rylan, never thought I'd see your face again." Jack raised a hand. "I'm not here for trouble, Red." The man laughed. "Everything you bring is trouble." His eyes moved to Nova. "Is that real?" "She's not for sale," Jack said quickly. Red stepped forward. "Council's got a bounty on her head." "And yours, I know. They say she's dangerous." Jack looked down at Nova. She didn't growl. She didn't hide. She stared back at Red without blinking. "She's not dangerous," Jack said. "She's surviving." Red looked again. Longer this time. Then he nodded. "You need fuel, weapons, credits. I need help." The room went quiet. "I don't want to hide anymore," Jack continued. "I want to train her, want to fight." "Beck, you think that thing can take on the council?" Jack didn't answer. He just opened a small holoscreen. It played footage from his ship. Nova breathing fire, burning metal, moving faster, learning faster. Red's eyes widened. "That's not possible." "She's getting stronger," Jack said. "But she needs control, guidance. I can't do it alone." Red looked at the others. They nodded slowly. "All right," he said. "But if she turns on us—" "She won't," Jack said that night in a hidden room under the station. Jack started Nova's real training. He set up targets made of metal and stone. Nova stood across from them, her body tense. Her tail flicked. Her chest rose and fell with each breath. "Don't force it," Jack told her. "Feel it. Let the fire come to you," Nova growled. Her mouth opened slightly. A flame burst out wild. And hot, it hit a stone block and cracked it. "Good," Jack said. "Now again. Smaller this time." Nova tried again. This time, the fire was focused, controlled. For hours, they trained. Jack showed her how to move faster, how to strike hard with her claws, how to use her tail like a whip. He built new support frames for her back legs, stronger than before. She began to run short bursts, but faster than any hatchling should. "You're learning to fast," he said one night, watching her move. Nova growled proudly. "But it's not just strength," Jack continued. "You need control. The council fears you. That's why they want you dead. But if you lose control, if you burn the wrong thing, they'll call you a monster." Nova's eyes dimmed for a moment. She understood, but the real test came to days. Later, a message came to Jack's ship. A town nearby, on a forgotten moon, was under attack by Black Drone's council machines. Not looking for Nova, just punishing a rebel town for speaking out. Jack stood at the window, fists clenched. "I've seen this before," he said. "Back during the war." Nova stood beside him. "You want to help, don't you?"
asked she.
Growled. "I can't tell you what to do," Jack said. "But I'm going. With or without you." Nova pushed her head against his shoulder. Together, they flew to the moon. The town was small mud houses, power lines, water tanks. Smoke filled the air. Screams echoed through the hills. Jack landed behind a ridge. Drones swarmed above the village black. Fast, deadly. Jack readied his rifle. Nova stepped beside him. She looked up at the sky, eyes full of fire. Jack looked at her. "You don't have to do this." Nova didn't wait. She jumped. Her wings spread, not strong enough to fly, but enough to glide. She hit the ground hard, rolled, then roared. Fire exploded from her mouth. 3 drones went down instantly. The town people screamed, but not in fear. In shock, a dragon had come. Nova fought like a storm. Her claws smashed into metal. Her tail knocked drones from the air. Her fire. It burned like the sun. Jack ran after her, shooting targets that got too close. Within minutes, the fight was over. Nova stood in the center of the smoking field, chest heaving, eyes blazing. The ground around her was blackened and cracked. The people stepped forward slowly. They didn't run. They didn't scream. They knelt. Small child reached out and touched Nova's leg. She saved us. The people began to cheer. Word spread fast. The council attacked a sand. A dragon saved us. Jack stood beside Nova. He saw something in her nos, something powerful. Not just fire, hope, but later. When they returned to the ship, Jack noticed something strange. Nova was shaking. Her breathing was shallow. Her scales flickered like lights. Going out, Jack picked her up. "Hey, you okay?" Nova didn't respond. He ran scans. Her energy was drained. Her fire core was unstable. She had used too much too fast. "I pushed you too hard," Jack whispered. Nova whimpered, curled into a tight ball, and slept for hours. Jack stayed beside her the whole time and far away on a council ship. A new report was delivered. Subject Drevo 7 has appeared on Moon. 6K. Council drones destroyed. Locals call her the Fire Beast. A council commander hissed. "She is no longer hiding." A second voice answered, "Then let us send something." "That hunts." Back in Greyline Station, Nova finally opened her eyes. Jack smiled. "Welcome back." Right. Nova stood. Slow, but steady. She looked older now, stronger. Jack knelt in front of her. "You're not just learning to fight," he said. "You're learning what it means to be alive, to protect." Nova stared at him. Then she spoke. Not a roar, not a growl. A word. One word. Protect. Jack's eyes widened. "You spoke." Nova stood taller. She said it again. "Protect." Jack placed his hand on her chest. "Then we protect each other." The fire within her was no longer just heat. It was purpose, and it was just beginning to rise. Greyland Station was not quiet anymore. News of the dragon had spread across space like fire in dry grass. Jack and Nova had tried to lay low, but people kept whispering. Smugglers, miners, broken soldiers, everyone talked about the dragon that fought back against the council. Jack didn't like it. Too much attention meant too much danger. He sat in his ship's main chamber, watching Nova as she slept. She had grown again, just slightly. Her wings were wider, and her tail was longer. But more than that, her fire was stronger. Brighter. She could burn holes through steel now, and her control was improving every day. Jack checked his old war logs again. Maps, secret files. He had stolen a lot of things during the rebellion. Now he was looking for one file in old council experiment he had once heard about. Something called Project Ember Claw. He typed in codes, nothing. He used an old clearance ID. Still nothing. Then, he found it. A locked data file labeled Dragon Protocol Classified Extinction Level Event. His hands froze. He cracked the file. A hologram popped up. It showed images thousands of years old. Dragons flying in space. Dragons burning entire warships. Dragons leading armies of fire. Then came silence. Then came death. The dragons disappeared. Not extinct, erased. A voice from the file began to speak. The dragons were not a myth. They ruled the stars long before the council was born. Their breath reshaped planets. Their minds were strong enough to move machines. But when the council rose, it feared them. Jack leaned closer, so they hunted them. The voice continued. Poisoned their planets. Cut their wings. Burned their eggs. Nova slowly woke up beside him, hearing the voice. The file showed something else. Now an image of a glowing egg. The council did not destroy them all. One egg was kept, for study. For control. Jack's eyes widened. That was you, he whispered. Nova stared at the image. It was her egg. There was no doubt. They tried to change the DNA, the voice said. Tried to make the dragon weak, but it was born different. Born broken. Nova growled softly. Jack whispered, You weren't broken. You were surviving. Duh. The last part of the file played. If this dragon ever activates its full core, it may awaken the others. If any still remain... Jack stood up. Others. Nova blinked. Then the file shut off. Jack stared at the wall. His thoughts were racing. All this time he thought Nova was the last. But now there could be more of you. Nova tilted her head, confused. Jack sat down again. We need answers, real ones. This isn't just about survival anymore. This is about history and war. He knew where to go next. The Council's hidden archive satellite. Code Vault 17X, buried in a dying system. No patrols, no rescue. Only death. Perfect. He fixed the ship, boosted its engines, and loaded the last of their fuel. As they left Graylin, Red's voice came over the comms. You're going into Council space. Jack, you'll be marked for death. Jack looked at Nova. She already is. The ship vanished into hyperspace. When they arrived near Vault 17X, it floated above a red gas planet like a broken sword. The satellite was old, black, and covered in spikes. Jack turned off all systems. No signals, no light. Stealth mode. They docked quietly. Inside the satellite, everything was frozen. Cold air. Silent halls. Dead computers. Jack moved fast. Nova. Close behind, they reached the data core room. Jack hacked in. A screen lit up. Welcome, Commander Rylan. Nova growled softly. Jack smiled. Still works. He found the Dragon protocol again. More files unlocked this time. He saw research logs, doctors talking about DNA experiments, cloning, energy control. They didn't just want to study dragons, Jack said. They wanted to become them. Novas. Eyes narrowed. Jack tapped another file. A map popped up. A star system sector. Q9 Shadow Rift. Unknown. Red marked. Forbidden. Text below it. DR08 status. Sleeping. Jack whispered the words again. DR08. Another one. He turned to Nova. You're DR07. Nova looked at the screen. A low rumble rose from her chest. A second dragon. Sleeping. Forgotten. They weren't alone. Jack copied the map and backed. Out of the system, then alarms screamed. Unauthorized access detected. Defense units activated. Jack swore. Move. They ran. Metal doors closed behind them. Red lights flashed. Lasers sparked. Nova turned once and roared. A wall of fire shot down the hall, melting a defense turret. They reached the ship just in time. As they blasted away, a dozen black drones launched from the satellite. Jack pushed the ship hard. We've got what we need. Nova stood beside him, tail raised, chest glowing, as a drone closed in. She roared again, fire, tearing through the darkness. The drone exploded. Jack flew fast, dodging rocks, clouds, wreckage. He glanced at Nova. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever. You're not a mistake, he said. You're part of something. Bigger. Nova blinked slowly. They escaped into hyperspace. Jack stared at the map again. Sector. Q9 Shadow Rift. We find that place, he whispered. We find the others. Far behind them, in a dark chamber of the Council's high tower. The leaders watched the stolen files flash across their screens. A voice said, They know about subject DR08. Another voice growled, Prepare the execution fleet. If that dragon awakens, the galaxy will burn. Back on the ship, Nova sat in silence. She stared at the stars through the window. She didn't feel weak anymore. She didn't feel alone. Somewhere out there, something like her was waiting. Jack stood beside her. We started with one fire, Nova, he said. Now we might light the whole sky. And in the dark space between stars, a second heartbeat began to stir. Another dragon, waiting to wake. Jack Ryland flew fast through the black silence of space, his ship rattling from old age and fresh damage. Nova, the young dragon who once could barely walk, now stood proud beside him. Her eyes glowed. Her wings folded tightly against her back. Her fire burned brighter every day. But something had changed. Since they left the Council's vault, things had gone from bad to worse. First, the bounty went up. 10 million credits, dead or alive. Every bounty hunter, pirate, A desperate traitor in the galaxy now had one goal: kill the human and the dragon. Second, the message. Jack had sent the stolen data proof of the Dragon Protocol, proof of the Council's lies, to a few old friends, hoping someone would help. Instead, they ran. Some blocked his calls, some warned him not to return, and some tried to turn him in. The last one was the hardest. He had once fought beside her, a war hero, a rebel. Her name was Captain Risa Vale. She now led a small fleet of resistance fighters near the outer colonies. Jack trusted her, so he went to meet her. That was the mistake. Jack landed on an old mining moon, half dead from storms. The meeting was set inside a ruined outpost, quiet and cold. He brought Nova. She didn't want to stay behind. They walked into the base. Carefully, Risa stood near the center, tall and armored, her face hard as stone. "Jack," she said, "Captain." He answered, tense then, without a word. Soldiers surrounded them, guns pointed at their heads. Nova growled, her eyes glowing with warning. Jack stepped in front of her. "Easy," he whispered. RHYSA raised a hand. "Stand down. No one fires unless I say." Jack stared at her. "You called me here?" She nodded. "I did. I wanted to see if it was true." She looked past him. "At Mova? At first I thought it was a joke. A dragon? Come on." That sounds like drunk space talk. But you weren't lying. Jack stood tall. "She's real. And not just real. She's smart. She's alive. And she's dangerous if pushed." Nova bared her teeth slightly. Risa didn't flinch. "And you broke into a council vault. You triggered their alerts. You're being hunted by war fleets." Jack stepped forward. "I found something important. There might be more dragons. We can stop the council. We can fight them for real." Risa's face stayed calm. "You should have burned that data and run." Jack froze. Risa turned to her soldiers. "Take the girl." Jack pulled his blaster, but 5 guns aimed at him. Instantly, Nova stepped closer, smoke rising from her mouth. Risa pointed. "You can't keep her. She's a weapon, Jack. Maybe the biggest one the galaxy's ever seen." "She's not a weapon," Jack shouted. "She's a child." Risa narrowed her eyes. "She's a bomb waiting to explode. You think the Council was the only one afraid of her? The rest of the galaxy doesn't want another war. If other dragons wake up, then maybe they'll help us," Jack said. "Or maybe they'll destroy everything," Risa shouted back. "And I won't risk." That, Jack's mind raced. Nova tensed beside him. He knew what had to happen. He pressed a hidden switch on his belt. Flashbang, boom, light blinded the soldiers. Nova leaped forward, wings open, fire in her throat. She didn't burn anyone, just the wall. A massive hole opened. Jack grabbed her, and they ran. Bullets hit the walls behind them. They jumped into the ship, blasted off the moon, and vanished into the stars. Back in orbit, Risa watched them go. "Let them run," she said coldly. "They won't get far." Jack didn't speak for a long time. As the stars streaked past the ship, Nova curled beside him, smoke still rising from her nose. "You did good," he finally whispered. "I know that was scary." She looked up at him. "People like Risa, they don't see you. They only see fear. But I know better." He reached out and scratched under her chin. She closed her eyes. Then the alert flashed. "Incoming signal. Unknown source." Jack opened it carefully. A face appeared. Alien. Blue skin. White eyes. No mouth. It spoke directly into Jack's mind. "I saw your fire." Lean forward. "Who are you?" "I am called Cellervin. My kind once walked among dragons. Before the burning." Jack's heart skipped. "You knew them?" "I know where one sleeps," the voice said. "A full-grown one." Nova stirred. The voice continued. "But the council is coming. Your flame has woken more than you know." Then the signal cut. Jack looked at Nova. "We're not alone anymore." Checked the coordinates Seller had sent. Deep space. A black zone where ships vanish. No maps. No signals. No law. "Guess that's where we're going?" Nova growled softly. Jack smiled. Yeah, me too. But far behind them, Risa was already speaking to the council. They're heading to the rift, she said. The council leader's face flickered on screen, then we'll burn the whole sector. Back in the ship, Nova stood at the front window. She didn't blink somewhere. Another dragon was waiting, and this time it might be awake. The ship drifted into deep space, beyond any map, beyond any law. This place was called the Rift, not because of a star or a planet, but because something had once torn space open here. Long ago, ships entered but rarely came back. The silence of this zone felt heavier, thicker, like even sound didn't want to stay. Jack stood at the helm, scanning nothing. Nova sat behind him, still as stone. Her fire had dimmed, but only because she was saving it. She could feel something out there, something ancient, something strong. Jack glanced at the screen. The signal from Cellar Vin had gone dark, but the coordinates stayed. They followed them. Into the black. For hours, nothing changed. Then suddenly, a shape appeared. Not a ship, not a station, a planet. No heat, no movement. Covered in black rock and ice, Nova growled. Jack slowed the ship. This is it, he said. They landed near the base of a shattered mountain. Everything was cracked and broken, like something had tried to break free from under the ground. Nova stepped out first. She sniffed the cold air ash. Old smoke. Bones Jack followed, his weapon ready. But this time, the danger wasn't from people. The air was too still, too empty. They moved through the ruins. Huge bones were buried in the rocks. Claw marks stretched across the cliffs, deep and wide. This wasn't a battlefield, Jack whispered. It was a cage. Nova stopped. She placed a claw on the stone. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Jack reached for her, but it was too late. A blast of heat erupted from under the mountain. The stone cracked. Light burst through. Nova backed away. The mountain exploded, and from the fire, something rose. A dragon. A real dragon. Full size. Full power. Its wings stretched across the sky. Its eyes burned like stars. Scales shimmered with fire and shadow. Jack dropped his weapon. Oh my! Nova stared. The great dragon looked down at her for a moment. There was silence. Then it spoke. Not with a voice, but with a deep echo in their minds. You woke me, little flame. Nova took a step forward. The elder dragon blinked slowly. You are not like them. You are born of their cages, their science. Nova lowered her head. Jack stepped in. She's not their weapon. She's her own. The great dragon turned to him, a human. Jack raised his hands. Not just any human. The dragon's voice grew deeper. You are the one who stole the protocol? Jack nodded. Yeah, that was me. Foolish. Brave. The dragon flapped its wings once. Dust and fire flew through the air, and now you have come to wake war. Jack hesitated. No, we came to wake truth. The elder dragon leaned close to Nova. And what do you want, hatchling? Nova stood tall. She looked into the ancient eyes. Then, for the first time, she spoke not with sound, but thought, I want to live. I want others like me to live. I don't want to hide anymore. The great dragon closed its eyes, then roared. A sound so deep and loud, it shook the stars. Fire burst from its mouth and flew into the sky. The planet cracked open more, and something below. It's another sound, another roar. Far away, Jack looked. Around, there's more. The dragon opened its eyes again. You lit the signal. The flames will rise again. But beware, human. Not all dragons remember peace. Some only remember the burn. Jack nodded slowly. We'll handle that. The elder dragon gave Nova one last look. You are the spark. You carry the memory of all who burned. Lead wisely. Then, without warning, the dragon flew straight into the sky. It vanished into the stars. Leaving a trail of fire behind, Jack turned to Nova. She was glowing, wings brighter, eyes sharper. Something had changed. She was stronger now. Different. Jack smiled. You just met your ancestor. Nova looked at him. Then their ship's alarm screamed. Council fleeting in orbit. Too many ships, too. Many guns? Jack ran. Nova followed. They reached the ship just in time and launched into space. Dozens of enemy cruisers appeared around them. A voice rang out on the comms. Jack Rylan. Subject. Daro 7. Surrender or be destroyed. Jack looked at Nova. She didn't hesitate. She flew out of the ship. Up, fire bursting from her mouth. The battle began. Lasers, missiles, roars. Jack flew between enemy ships, dodging fire. Nova struck them down, one by one. But there were too many. Then, help came. A shadow blocked A. Council cruiser, the Elder Dragon, it had returned. With it came others, dragons, from dark planets, from hiding. From ruins, 5, 10, 15, all of them awake. The sky burned. The Council fleet tried to run. Too late. Nova flew beside the great dragon now, no longer small, no longer alone. Jack watched from the cockpit, smile on his face. They had started something big, and it was only the beginning. The stars were still burning from battle. Wrecked ships drifted like dead leaves in space. Smoke trailed behind the last Council cruisers as they limped away. Some escaped. Most didn't. Fire ruled the skies now. Nova hovered beside the Elder Dragon, her wings stretched wide. She was no longer the small, broken hatchling left to die. She was Skyfire, now the name the others gave her. The first reborn. The flame that would not go out. Jack Ryland stood in the doorway of his ship, his eyes wide, breath shallow. He had just seen something no human had seen in 1,000 years. Dragons, real dragons, and not just one or two, over 30. Some large as mountains, some covered in ancient scars, some still young, their scales bright with rebirth. All of them had come because Nova called, and all of them remembered the fire. Jack stepped forward. Nova landed beside him, smoke curling from her nose. You, all right? He asked. She nodded once. The Elder Dragon lowered his massive head. He looked at Jack, then at the others gathering. The Council will not stop, the Elder said. They will bring fleets, bomb planets, silence worlds. They fear our return. They should, Jack said. They're stronger than they ever imagined. But strength alone is not victory, the Elder replied. They have allies, systems that still believe their lies. If we strike blindly, the galaxy will unite against us. We will burn again. Jack understood. What do we do? A pause. Then the Elder looked at Nova. We build a pact. Dragons gathered closer. Their eyes turned to Nova. She is the bridge, the Elder said. Born of human hands. Raised by one of them. She speaks their tongue, but carries our fire. Nova stood taller. Jack looked at her, then nodded. We need to show the galaxy. The truth. Let them see who you really are. Not weapons, not monsters. The dragons around them nodded, slow and powerful. That day on the edge of the rift, the Skyfire Pact was born, a new alliance, dragons and humans. Side by side, Nova became the symbol, Jack became the voice. They sent messages to the outer colonies. First, videos, evidence, the protocol files. Footage of Nova saving people, not destroying. Testimonies from old soldiers, scientists, rebels, and slowly, things changed. Some planets still feared them. Some still hunted them. But others listened. Some helped soon. Ships began to arrive. Not to fight, but to join old rebels. Free traders, alien allies, people who had suffered under the Council's control. They called themselves the Free Flame, and they swore to protect any planet the Council tried to burn. Nova led missions to rescue other hidden dragons, some trapped in labs, others frozen in old vaults. Jack led the humans. Together, they freed over a dozen more dragons. Each one joined the Skyfire Pact. But peace didn't come easy. The Council struck back. A full war fleet attacked the colony of Virac 7. trying to send a message. They didn't expect what came next. Nova and 5 other dragons appeared from the clouds. They tore through the sky like thunder. Jack led a fleet of free-flame ships from orbit. Targeting the Council's command centers, the people of Viric 7 fought back in just 2 hours. The Council fleet was wiped out. That was the turning point. News spread across the galaxy. The dragons are back. And this time they fight for us. More systems left the Council. Some even surrendered peacefully. The dragons never demanded power, never claimed thrones. They only protected. That shocked everyone. They weren't monsters. They weren't weapons. They were guardians. Nova became legend. Children painted her wings on walls. Songs were written. Stories told. They called her the Flameheart, the last hope, the dragon of light. Jack never tried to control her. He stood beside her. Always, he became known as the Wormbond, the first human to ride a dragon in over 1,000 years. But the final battle still waited. The Council's core world, the capital, the Laxus Prime, where it all started, where the protocol was written, where thousands of dragons had been. Destroyed, Nova stared at the planet from orbit. She remembered everything. Jack stood beside her. "We don't have to go." She shook her head. "We do." Skyfire Pact moved. 10 dragons. 40 allied ships. Thousands of voices ready for justice. They sent one message: surrender the protocol, free the archives, or we come. The Council laughed. They sent their entire fleet. The sky turned to fire again. It was the biggest space battle in modern history. Nova flew straight into the storm, her body glowing like a comet. She wasn't alone. Other dragons flew beside her flames. Lightning, acid, ice. Each one had a power. Each one had a purpose. Jack led the strike force. The battle was brutal, but they didn't stop. The Scafer Pact reached the surface. They found the archives, and they burned the protocol live, on every screen. In the galaxy, the message was clear. We are not tools. We are not toys. We are life, and we are free. The Council fell that day. Its leaders captured or exiled. The Laxus Prime surrendered. The war was over, Nova. Landed at the Capitol steps. People didn't run. They cheered. They cried. They knelt. Jack stood beside her, hand on her side. "You did it," he whispered. She looked at him, then spoke out loud. For the first time ever, her voice was deep, ancient, and clear. "No, we did." The Skyfire Pact became more than a name. It became the future. Dragons lived free again, and humanity found something new. Hope, honor, and flame. And all because one human found a broken baby dragon and chose to love her instead of fear her. The stars burned brighter after that, and they always would, forever.